consistency is one of the attributes of a successful manager. And we need to be consistent in what we're asking of our staff, our expectations, consistent in the standards that we want them to hold to, the behaviours we want them to be. We also need to be consistent in of ourselves. In other words, we need to manage our emotional states so that we are always consistent in the way that we show up, that our staff can rely on us being there, being available, listening to what they may want to say, being calm, being someone that they can rely on in so many ways. But we're also human beings, and that means that we can get stressed and we can start behaving in inconsistent ways. And one of the key things about being a manager is to actually manage our own emotional state so that we're pretty steady. We're pretty steady. We don't go bing, 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 bing. And we certainly don't bounce off walls all the time. I don't know about you, but I have worked for someone who I didn't know what mood they were going to be in on a particular day. And I didn't know how they were going to react. I mean, last time when I went in with this kind of message, they were okay. But I can't rely on them being okay when I present a similar type of message. It added a lot of stress to the team, and the team, quite frankly, didn't perform because stressed teams don't do creative work, don't do stuff extra. They just try and get out of the office as quickly as they can. You know, they try and get home because it's too stressful. So, being a manager, we need to manage our own emotional state. And what are the signs that we're being inconsistent? And the sign, quite simply, is when we overreact to something. When a small trigger comes in and we go bang. Now, sometimes that small trigger can be in the car when we're driving and someone cuts us up and we go bang. So in that sense, it's a relatively safe explosion because we're in the car by ourselves and no one else is impacted. But that's a sure sign that you personally are under stress. And you need to take action on that because you don't want to have a small thing happen in a team environment and go bang, because that's going to frighten people and you're not going to get a good response out of it. So it's when you find yourself overreacting to small things happening or triggers happening to you. So what steps do you need to take in order to manage your own emotional state and be more consistent in how you show up as a manager, and not just as a manager, more consistent in how you show up in your life, full stop? The first thing is to find a medium that is right for you to check in on a regular basis with yourself and to ask the question, how am I feeling today? How am I today? What's going on for me today? Now, my personal method is journaling. I journal in the morning. I get up before I do anything. Well, actually, I make a cup of tea. And then I sit down and just write. Rubbish, actually. It's just rubbish. But I write. I get it out. I get it out. It's down on the piece of paper. And once it's on the piece of paper, I can then go, oh, okay, I need to address this. I need to have that conversation. I need to do this. And time and time again, just recently, I hadn't done it. And then I exploded over a small thing. And it was like, I need to get back to my writing. Now, for you, it might not be writing. It could be meditation. It could be running. It could be swimming. It could be gardening. It could be anything at all, whatever it is, where you go in and you ask yourself and you check in with yourself, how am I doing? How am I doing? Now, you then can learn how to be compassionate to yourself and very kind to yourself and very supportive to yourself. What I do is I treat myself as I would treat one of my very, very best friends. That means that I am positive, I'm supportive, I'm kind, and I want the very best for them, and I suggest things to do. But you don't need to do this alone. When I recently blew up, I went straight away and spoke to 2 friends of mine, one after the other. In fact, I emailed one and said, I need to speak to you. And the other one, I emailed both of them and said, I need to speak to you. And I went to speak to friends that I trust and that I know want me to be at my best. Oh, that was so good, because they brought in some calm objectivity for me, which was absolutely brilliant, and exactly what was needed. Now, you can do that. You must have friendships. You must have good friends as a manager, because as a manager, you're doing emotional work. You are motivating, inspiring, and managing people. And that is emotional work. And you need to have a group of people where you can go and be human and complain and moan and whinge to. You can't whinge to your team. But you need to have that group of people around you. It might be other managers, it could be friends, it could be your partner, but you need to have that group, and you need to have several people. So if one of them's on holiday or up a mountain or something, you've got someone else you can call. The other thing I'm going to suggest is, if you really find life difficult, consider getting a counsellor or a therapist or a coach. Go to someone professional, and that can be very enlightening, and you can learn a lot about yourself. It's when we face challenges that we learn and grow and stretch and become more of ourselves more of the time. Yeah, so interesting, isn't it? That as a manager, we learn so much about ourselves. Just, it's amazing. I hope this has been useful for you. Now, connect with yourself. Yeah, even as you are frantically busy in your work, be sure to check in with yourself. How am I today? Take care now.